Who's ready to get a little bit better? If so, comment yes. Woo! Here we go. All right, so let's have a conversation about a question that everybody's asking. I'm asking it, you're asking it. Some of you just Googled and you're trying to find the answers. How do I freaking change my life? You don't have to put the word freaking in there, but how do I change my life? How do I break through? How do I create the life that I want? How do I go from where I'm at to where I want to be? How do I change my life? And I mean, let's be real. Why are we asking that question? I mean, we're asking the question because we're frustrated. Frustrated with the life we have, maybe disappointed with how things have turned out. Maybe your life has not turned out the way you thought it would. Come on, who can I give me a little emoji? Raise hand. Like, if your life has not turned out the way you thought it would, welcome to the party, said everybody. Like, we all got plans until we start living, until we start taking action, and then it always turns out a little bit differently. So frustration, disappointment. There's a Bible verse that kind of speaks to this. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And some of you have been having big dreams and big visions, but it hasn't come to pass. And you're like, what the heck? Why can't I create the life I want? How do I create the life that I want? And so, I mean, it's pretty big question. So you could answer it a whole lot of ways. Let me give you an answer. And it's an answer that I've watched play out for myself, a whole lot of people, hundreds of people that I've coached. And so I would say this: if you want to change your life, you've got to change your blueprint. If you want to change your life, how do I change my life? If you want to change your life, you've got to change your blueprint. What do I mean by blueprint? Blueprint is that subconscious, you're not even aware of it, but it is your identity. It is your thought patterns. It is your way of living and interacting with the world. And by the time you're out of elementary school, your blueprint has been established. Now, if I were to dial into that another degree, I would say you really got two big blueprints. They really overlap, but I'm just going to identify them. Number one would be your identity blueprint, okay? So who are you? What do you believe? What do you believe about, if you want the big categories, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe about others? What do I believe about God, the universe? What do I believe about life? What you believe in those four areas is really going to determine vastly your identity blueprint, your way of living, of interacting with the world in which you live, okay? So there's identity blueprint, and this one really does fall up under that, but it's a big enough deal and really speaks to this particular question that I'm going to say the second one would be your financial blueprint. If you want a great resource for rewiring your financial blueprint specifically, I would tell you that the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is a tremendous resource. It was very helpful for me, several others, but if I were to give you just one that's a pretty easy read, and it's the kind of book, if you do it and you do the work, it's really going to help you rewire your financial blueprint. Another one, if you want to work on financial blueprint and identity, I don't know, this new book called Creating Your Best Life by a couple new authors. It's an Amazon International bestseller. Yeah, so I wrote this one with one of my mentors, and we really dive deep. And the reason I got to partner on this project is because I brought a lot of the coaching in the book. So it is a book and a workbook, and we take you through deep work to really work on those two blueprint aspects of identity and your financial blueprint. So can we talk real practical? So that's big picture. You want to change your life? You want to change the results that you're getting? You need to change your blueprint. And here's the thing. You currently have a blueprint. If you want to know what it is, look at your life. Because the life you have is a reflection of your blueprint. The life you have is a reflection of your current blueprint. Again, you couldn't even articulate it if I asked you to right now, but if I look at your life, I could probably articulate it for you objectively, maybe even better than you could just in a brief conversation, because your life that you have is a reflection of your current blueprint. So the big dirty little secret is everybody thinks like, well, my blueprint is my blueprint and that's all I can ever be. But the truth is that you can change your blueprint. You're not that blueprint. You are not the patterns that you've created. There's a little concept called neuroplasticity, and it is the idea that your brain is plastic, to make it real simple, right? So like your brain is malleable. It is, you can change the patterns and pathways of thoughts, pathways of feeling, pathways of being. And they used to think, scientifically, they used to think that your brain was only plastic in childhood. And so neuroplasticity was a reality. They were very aware of it, but they believed that as you grew, then like, okay, you're done. Now it's basically in concrete and you can't change it anymore. But that has been debunked. And now we know that you can change your blueprint. So how about I give you 2 ways, and I've probably shared this in previous videos, but guys, repetition is the motor of learning. 2 ways that you can rewire your blueprint. And I'll give you some fresh thoughts here because literally one of these just hit me pretty big. A couple days ago, and I had some massive journaling, and so I wanted to share some of that with you. So the 2 ways that you're going to rewire your blueprint, financial identity blueprint. Number 1 is repetition. Number 2 is imagination. Repetition. Repetition is the motor of learning. Without repetition, there can be no mastery. Guys, great people, they don't get tired of doing the right things. You want to create success in your business? Do the right things over and over again. You want to become a better husband? Do the right things over and over again. You want to get closer to God? Do the right things over and over again. Do it over and over again. Be consistent. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Another great book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Everybody talks about the compound effect, but I kind of like his definition. It is small habits, small decisions done like equation plus consistently plus time equals dramatic results. This is kind of what we're talking. When it comes to your blueprint, listen, some of you have been to some events and like you did some deep work, or you did therapy, you did counseling, and you did some deep work. You worked with the coach, you did some deep work. That's awesome. You had some breakthroughs. Way to go. Way to put yourself in the right environment to get some breakthrough. Here's what I want to tell you. I don't care how great the event was. I don't care how great the coach was. I don't care how great the experience was. It doesn't matter. If you don't keep doing the work with repetition and consistency over time, the breakthrough that you had is going to fade. It never ceases to amaze me, whether I'm working with clients one-on-one, because I do a lot of deep work, whether it's limiting beliefs or working on their values, getting clear about the targets in their life, about their identity, about who they are. They get breakthroughs, and then 6 months, a year later, a year and a half later, I'll be like, hey, how you doing with that? I'm like, what are the beliefs that you locked in, and how are you doing? And they're like, I don't know. I have to go back and look at my notes, or I have to go back and go review from the event. And I'm like, what are you talking about? No wonder it didn't stick, because I don't even have to tell me if it stuck. I know it didn't stick because if you don't have repetition over time, you're not going to sustain the breakthrough. That's why when I talk about everything I do in coaching, whether coaching, content, everything I talk about is about sustainable transformation. You want sustainable transformation, it's not going to come without repetition. So when it comes to how can I change my life, you got to do some deep work. You got to rewire your blueprint, and that's kind of a whole nother conversation in itself. But once you do the work, then you've got to do that work consistently, repeated on a daily basis. I do something on a daily basis called my creation sequence. We actually break it down in this book. Literally, like the combination of this book is we help you create your best life blueprint. Create your best life blueprint, and then we take that blueprint and we teach you a step-by-step process how to take that best life blueprint and turn it into a daily creation sequence. You're created in the image of God. Your Father is a creator. That means you're a creator. You should be creating every single day. But if you don't create every day, you're not going to create the life you want. You're not going to change your life. So repetition is how you're going to do the work consistently over time, and you're going to create the life you want. How do you change your life? You're going to do it through repetition consistently over time. And then number 2, how do you change your blueprint? You do it through your imagination. I love that God gave us the gift of imagination. Like if you close your eyes right now and I said, I just want you to imagine your happy place, whether that's the beach or the mountains or, I don't know, wherever it is, your childhood, where you grew up, doesn't matter. But if I asked you to close your eyes and just think about that environment, think about that place, think about how it feels, think about the emotions that it brings to you, think about a memory that you had in that place. Crazy thing about the imagination is, some of you didn't even close your eyes and go there, but like you started to feel it. And that is the power of the imagination, because the imagination can take the unseen and bring it into this physical body, which when you bring that repetition and imagination together, literally you're releasing thoughts and words, and thoughts and words release power and energy is what creates. So energy is what's going to materialize something from the invisible to the visible world. That's what manifestation is. And so your imagination is this powerful ability that you have to begin releasing creative thoughts about the future. So how can I change my life? That's where we started, right? You're frustrated, you're disappointed. Life hasn't turned out the way you thought it is. If you're in that place and you're frustrated and you're disappointed, let me go ahead and tell you, because I don't need to ask, I'm just going to tell you, if you're frustrated and disappointed consistently, your thoughts consistently are on the things that frustrated you and disappoint you. They're not on all the good stuff. They're not on the good things that have already happened. They are focused on the things that frustrate you, that disappoint you, that have let you down, that didn't work out the way you thought. And so literally you don't want that stuff, but your thoughts and imagination are focused on it, and you keep imagining worst case scenario. And well, if that didn't work out, this isn't going to work out. And so literally the thing that you don't want, you're focusing on, and by you focusing on it, you get more of it, because where focus goes, energy flows. And what creates? Energy. Let that sink in. You're focusing on the things you don't want. Your energy's creating more of that, and that's what you're manifesting in your life. So how do you change your blueprint? How do you change your life? Start focusing on different things. And this is where we tap into the imagination. So this is where we come to some journaling I did this past week. And I was journaling, and there's a verse that from the Bible that I speak every day, which is saying, it says, surely blessing, I will bless you, God speaking, blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply you. And then there's this other verse. I love this verse. I know I've read this on a call before. Hold on. I moved my Bible app. Here you go. You ready? Ephesians 3, verse 20. Oh, gosh, if you just listen to this and I don't care if you like the Bible or not, just listen to these words. Never doubt God's mighty power to work in you, and accomplish all this. He will achieve infinitely more than your greatest request, your most unbelievable dream, and exceed your wildest imagination. He will outdo them all, for his miraculous power constantly energizes you. That's Ephesians 3:20 in the Passion Translation. Great little paraphrase translation. So here's what hit me a couple mornings ago. And I was talking about blessing, and multiply, like unleash your wildest imagination. And what hit me is that, I won't speak for you, I'll speak for me. I realized that I'm really good at taming my imagination. The verse said, unleash your wildest imagination, fulfill your wildest imagination. And I realized that I'm really good at taming it. Now listen, like I'm good at imagining stuff. I mean, I can tell you about the house, how beautiful it is, designed by my wife, and beautiful, and the nature oasis in the backyard, and the winding driveway with the trees lining the driveway, and it goes back, and the big windows on the house. Like, I got a pretty wild imagination, but I realized that I want to imagine bigger. Like, I want to unleash my wildest imagination and not tame it at all. Because in my head, I might say, well, I mean, I could imagine that, but I don't really need that. I mean, this would be enough. I don't really need that. But what that? Like, no, like unleash your wildest imagination. And so what I realized, and I journaled for like a page and a half. And by the time I got done, I was like hopping, excited. I was like, whoa, like, now that was a wild imagination. I wrote down some things in my journal that I'd never written before that were bigger, that were unleashed. They were not tame. They were unleashed. If I read them to you, you might think they're a little ridiculous, but for me, they kind of excited me. And so you want to rewrite your blueprint? Stop taming your imagination. It's time to unleash it. So repetition and imagination. There's that quote, no idea who it is, but if you shoot for the moon, at least you'll land among the stars. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. What if you thought about unleashing your imagination in that way? Because no matter how big I go, for me, the Bible says he will do exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or imagine. Woo-hoo! You mean if I can imagine it, he can do more than that? He sure can. So what if you unleash your imagination and give God something to work with to create your life? You want to change your life? Change your blueprint. How are you going to change your blueprint? Through repetition and through imagination. It is time to unleash your imagination. So, love for you to drop a comment. What did you take away from this? Do you need to work on unleashing the imagination? Have you done some work, but then you drifted away from it and you haven't been consistent? You haven't been doing the repetition? What is it that you need to work on to change your life? Because you are not the manager of your circumstances. You are the creator of your life. That's a direct quote from Tony Robbins. You are not the manager of your circumstances. You are the creator of your life. Start creating, people. Create your best life. You should probably go buy that book as well. I'll drop the link in the comments. You guys are amazing. I hope this video served you. This is where you should get off this video and go out there and give your greatness to the world, because somebody needs what's on the inside of you. Don't hold it back. Go give it away. You guys are amazing. I love y'all.